Hello everybody, welcome back. I am TheChornick and this is my Elder Scrolls 6 Theory series, and in this episode we're going to talk about new weapons. What new weapons could possibly come in the next Elder Scrolls game. Also, I would like to list the weapons we do have, such as swords, maces, axes, daggers, and hammers. Now there's various different kinds of swords, such as great swords and normal swords, and in Oblivion they had short swords and long swords. So, but I like how they kept to just the sword and the great sword for the Skyrim game. So I love how they kind of simplified that a little bit better. And I like how the weapons in Skyrim were they were never grew tired or never had to be repaired, and you can like work on them to make them stronger, and I hope in the next game they also adds like an unlimited kind of improvement to that based upon your rank and how well you work on it, and maybe just like the more and more or you get, the more and more you can improve your weapon. So in Oblivion, after a while your weapon broke and you had to go repair it somewhere. I like how Skyrim allowed you not had to do that. So that's something I liked about Skyrim having that way. But in terms of new weapons for the next game, I hope that they add some sort of chain weapon in order to, maybe like in Assassin's Creed, for example, how in Assassin's Creed 3, I think it was, where you kind of jumped and you threw a chain at somebody and then you jumped off the tree and you basically hung them or something. I hope that they add some chain weapon that allows you to trip up your enemies, maybe grab their feet and pull them to the ground, and you could be able to immobilize them that way. I think that'll be a cool new little weapon that they could have in the next game. Another weapon I think they should have is spears. There should be an actual spear. I know there was Reekling spears later in the Souls Time DLC, but those were for like in substitute of arrows and not an actual weapon. So maybe they could add spears as a melee weapon, and you could do all sorts of different jab moves, and maybe you could even throw your spear. You could be back into like kind of a throwing position, and then you launch it based on how long you hold your trigger button. Something like that would be pretty cool for spears. Another weapon I think would be spikes. So like throwing spikes on the ground, and they will probably stay on the ground for maybe a minute or so, and like it could hurt your enemies a little bit from like them stepping on it. And if you keep them in that position, they'll like slowly diminish their health longer they stand on the spikes. So I think that would be another good weapon. Another weapon I hope will happen is maybe you can place mobile traps, or you could place traps on the battlefield that will hurt your enemies. I know there's like a magic spell that you could put as a trap, but like in terms of weapon trap, like maybe put like some arrow turret or something to help you out during battle that could shoot at your enemies while you battle. On one side, your turret could back you up on the other side. Alright, the final thing I'd like to talk about is siege weapons. Now, siege weapons have been introduced in the previous Elder Scrolls games, but they weren't really compatible until ESO came out, and you were able to destroy forts and buildings, and they just resurrected later on. So it allowed compatibility with siege weapons. So hopefully in the next Elder Scrolls game we would have more siege weapons being available to use to maybe take forts and cities and all sorts of things. Like say the catapult in Skyrim, there were catapults and you could launch them, but they did like absolutely nothing. They just like fired off in the distance at a side of the wall, but it really didn't do anything, no matter how many times you fired it. So maybe in the next game we would have a catapult that would actually be compatible to use, and you could actually move it around and fire it at a wall, and when you fire it at a wall, maybe some health bar pops up that shows like it's weakening or something. So a new kind of siege weapon would be really cool. Maybe we could have some sort of battering ram, some ram that will go and charge doors with. But maybe like you have to defend the ram. Maybe the ram moves really, really slowly, and you have to defend the ram until it gets to the wall, and then once it gets to the wall, it'll like blast open the doors. So some ram kind of thing would be cool for some castle sieging. So like outside city battles will take place first before going inside the city. So that would be pretty cool. Another weapon I would think could be possibly some sort of, I don't know how to say this, but like maybe another kind of chain weapon in which it launches against a wall, kind of like in ESO when you saw like it. What I'm trying to say is like one of those wrecking ball kind of weapons in which you could maybe have some big tower pull up to a wall of a castle or so, and then you could launch wrecking ball into it and it just blasts open the wall or something. I think that would be a really cool new addition. Alright, the next thing I'm going to talk about, maybe boulders even. I almost forgot to say about that. Boulders where you could like bring up some kind of thing that will launch boulders, even though that's kind of like the same thing as a catapult. Maybe there'll be like a mobile weapon, mobile trap, like I said before, in which boulders could be used. Maybe you could bring them up to a wall and then launch them down a wall, and it'll hurt your enemies or something like that. Another weapon could be cannons, in which you fire cannons from the sea, or cannons, maybe even from the land, in which you roll them up to the wall and then you fire them, or not up to the wall, but like near the wall, and then you fire them, and then you could probably also take out enemies on top of the wall with a cannon and blow up them. And maybe there could be some sea battle even. Maybe we could start having some battles on the sea. Maybe that could be another video I'll touch upon in another Elder Scrolls 6 theory series later on. Oh, and then one more thing I'm going to talk about is enchantments. Enchantments, the usage I think could be a lot more. I think that in the previous Elder Scrolls games, that the usage of the the soul gems weren't really significant. Even with the Grand Soul Gem, even like the time period, I just felt like I was constantly using enchantments. Even though I did a whole lot of enchanting perks, I still felt like the soul gems weren't, or like the time for the enchantment wasn't enough, and that I constantly had to use more and more soul gems. So possibly in the next game you could fuse some soul gems together to make it longer or something like that. Maybe you could use when we get to a point where you could actually use both black soul gem and grand soul gem and fuse them together to create like an everlasting weapon or something, everlasting enchantment. So I think that would be pretty cool. So thanks guys for watching my Elder Scrolls 6 New Weapons video, and please comment below. Do you think my ideas are good? Do you think they should keep the weapons where they are? What weapons do you think should be added in the next game? Please post it below. Thanks for watching my videos. Please tell me anything else you would like to hear a theory upon. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. So please subscribe and peace off. Thank you very much.